Hi, my name is Gaby Gordillo. I work at Loyola High School and I'm the director of the Center for Service and Justice. And I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. So, Gabby, what drew you to participate in the CEPA mini immersion in Los Angeles?
Yes, so Daniel came to have a meeting with me and Jamal Adams, which is he's the president now at Loyola High School. Back then, he was the principal, and he was kind of like talking to us about like how we can introduce SEPA into the school, into the community, and we started talking about the garment industry, and we had similar experiences based on our family background, and he mentioned that there was an immersion in Made in LA, where talks about the garment industry and the labor violations and sustainability, and I was very interested to see if that immersion could be applied to high school students because the immersion is currently only for college students. And so he invited me to participate to an immersion that we're gonna a mini immersion, a mini version of the immersion that would be offered for faculty. And so we signed up, to know more about it, and I just loved it, and I got a lot of ideas out of it, and now I'm working to see how we can implement an immersion like that to high school students.
Fantastic. Well, what moment in the immersion or what encounter during it had the most personal impact on you?
Yes, so my mom is a single mother, and so she worked in the garment industry for 30 years. I myself had to work with her during the summers because you don't make a lot of money, in the working in sweatshops. So, and so just listening to the founders of the garment, the garment work, the center, listen to their stories. It kind of reminded me of what I listened to at home, every day when my mom used to come to work, listening to her struggles, to make enough money for us to survive, and the low wages, the peace wages in the garment industry, and experiencing that environment. It was personal to me, and to know that those issues still exist. I mean, like I said, she was working in this industry for 30 years, and unfortunately, not much has changed. The struggle continues, but I see that there's an organization now accompanying, garment workers. Back in the day, as I mentioned to when we had the panel, I mentioned to the garment workers, my mom did not have any support. He was a young mother. She didn't have any support, and for her, it was, this is what it is, and we're just gonna try to work hard, and that's what we did. So it was very, very personal to me.
Yeah, that's super powerful. So, how did it feel to hear directly from garment workers and cooperative members about their struggles and their hopes?
Yeah. So one, I was excited that they're taking the ownership and the leadership to speak up for everybody. And so I was grateful for that, and I mentioned it to them that they're brave because a lot of people that work in this industry, they're afraid because many of them might be undocumented. My mother at the time was undocumented, so she didn't want to steer the waters because she was afraid of what might happen. And but now, seeing that they're taking the leadership, that they're getting involved, that they're getting, they're acquiring leadership skills to and organizational skills to organize and to advocate, and not only that, that they're also advocating along with their families. It gave me hope that one day we can get rid of this modern day slavery that everybody knows about, but nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah, and was there anything that surprised you? You clearly know so much. You have an inside look based on your upbringing in it. Was there anything that surprised you or challenged a previous assumption that you held about ethical purchasing or about garment labor?
And so, what I was surprised and at the same time inspired is when we met Lupe. She has her own company. She's a designer. She has her kind of like her factory, and she was talking to us about, how her family used to be part of the garment industry. Many of them, work in these unjust conditions, and she herself experienced some of that. And now, as a designer, as a company owner, she's trying to change the narrative and the conditions of garment workers. And so she was discussing with us about sustainability in choosing garments that she used for her designs, and also providing a living wage to her workers. And she's even thinking about how in the future, as her company grows, to provide benefits, to her workers, which that does not happen anywhere. Garment workers do not have any benefits. They don't even have, a minimum wage. And so it was surprising. I'm like, wow, there's a place that is actually ethical, and that, thinks about people and sees people as human beings, not as, objects that you can use for production. And so I was surprised and inspired by that.
Yeah, that is inspiring. How did the sort of prayerful and reflective components of the immersion that you all did, like the examine or scripture reflections, how did that shape your experience?
We did an examine. I think it was on the first day at the end of the day, and thinking more into the perspective of, like our kinship or mutual humanity, and what do we do? What is our place in this society? Also, our call for justice. Not just to learn about it, but to bring this into action, and that all of us are called to make a change, to be more responsible, to be stewards of each other and of the environment. And so that takes, acknowledgement on on how are we being part of the problem, and what can we do to change, and to, based on our faith, how we can bring justice, to many of the communities affected by this industry.
Yeah, so on that note, how do you see that this experience enriching your work as a faculty member at Loyola High School?
So while when I was at this retreat, I also registered for environmental justice classes and sustainability at Santa Clara. And so I was taking the classes, and we were learning about the theories and, everything, articles about what is environmental justice and sustainability, what other institutions are doing. And, part of the class was to design a project, from each class, and how to put it into action into our institutions. And so CEPA was, this retreat allowed me to meet different companies that are already doing the work, meeting speakers that are, knowledgeable about this work. And so at the end, I created, like a professional development for my faculty, and bringing the speakers from CEPA, bringing people, these companies that are already working, and create workshops for our faculty to learn more about environmental justice and sustainability, and also implementing this with our students, teaching our students about sustainability. We compost at Loyola, but we just tell the kids, oh, it's good for you to compost, but we don't really teach them why. And so now, with that knowledge that I have and the experience that I had, at this immersion, I created also a program for my students where, they're gonna walk around and pay attention more to environmental justice in Pico Union. And then what is our place as Loyola, being in the middle of Pico Union? What is our call to bring, more sustainability programs to the area, where, we like green spaces. It's polluted all the time. So what can we do, and to advocate for better measures that will benefit the environment in our community?
Wow, that sounds like Loyola, and you all will be doing a lot as an institution, which is amazing. What a huge impact that's going to make. And then for you personally, what's one small but significant change that you personally hope to make as a result of this immersion experience?
Yes. So I've always been conscious about, what I buy. I know for I don't buy anything Nike, because at the time I remember, and it was great that this also resonated in the retreat, when we're talking about, boycotting corporations that, are abusing workers, and I don't wear anything Nike, but I also learned, like all these, all of these different brands that are also abusing workers, and I'm like, and some of them I was not aware of, and so now I'm consciously thinking, like I'm gonna do more research about the brands that I purchase from. How are they treating their workers? What are their, carbon footprint to the environment, and be more conscious about it. At least, that little step. I'm one consumer, but at least, I can make a difference. And so I'm gonna be more conscious about, what I purchase and where I purchase it from.
Awesome. And yeah, that's part of the whole purpose of the Catholic Ethical Purchasing Alliance, right? CEPA, is just to help build awareness, mostly on an institutional level, and bringing our Ignatian network institutions, Jesuit institutions, Catholic higher ed institutions, secondary, bringing them all into this greater awareness so that that impact can be greater. But on an individual level, it's just as applicable. So I admire that. You inspire me in order for my own awareness as well. And one last question. What would you say to another educator or a student considering joining a future immersion from CEPA?
I think that it's not a one more thing to do. I know that we're overwhelmed with all the environment initiatives, but I think this is something personal where students and faculty can go and experience and learn more about it, to be more educated on the issue, but at the same time to provide, like personal steps that you can take. I mean, they don't say, "Oh, go and change the world." At the end of the immersion, all of us were invited to make personal changes that can make a big impact. And I would see it like that. If you wanna, make an impact on the environment, not a huge change, something that is not overwhelming, come to the immersion experience, learn about it, and then come out, with a new perspective and a new resolve to, take a step at least to promote justice and sustainability in the environment.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being such an engaged participant in that immersion, and being so attentive to this topic in your life and in your community. And we look forward to all the good stuff that Loyola will be doing, partly from your leadership on this initiative. So thank you so much for being a friend of ISN, a friend of the Catholic Ethical Purchasing Alliance, and blessings on your continued ministry.
Thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts. Thank you.